hard part of our animation is done. We've established the keyframes, we've generated all the in-betweens for our armature, and we have a really solid understanding as to how this movement is going to come to life inside of our animation. However, this may not be the visual representation that you want your character to be. With this armature's animation done, we're now free to use this as a drawing guide, a tracing guide, if you will, for all of our animation frames. So I'm going to stop by animation, and this is where it gets to be a little bit more fun. These armatures are really designed to be a structural skeleton that defines the movement, but in no way is it really designed to be the final representation of what your character is going to look like. And I encourage you to draw on top of these shapes to create the final finished animation for yourselves. We now have the basic bones, if you will, of your character both created and animated, and now we can start putting the top level skin, if you will, on top of your character. Now here's a couple suggestions that will help you start to paint on top and draw on top of your character if you'd like. First and foremost, definitely make sure you go in and create your own animation layer. So I'm going to create a new animation layer, and I'm going to call this one character. And I'm going to be mindful of all these drawings. I need to make sure that when I'm drawing this, that I'm sticking to all of the frames that I've done so far. But now I have the freedom to go in and just create some wonderful drawings, okay? Here's a cool idea. Let's go into draw mode real fast. And I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time drawing this, because it is very much like watching someone someone mow their lawn. It's not exactly the most fascinating thing on the face of the planet. But here's some ideas that'll help you draw. Okay, first and foremost, I'm on my character animation layer down here at the bottom inside of my timeline. You can see that it's green. One of the things that we can do with all of our animation layers is adjust their opacity. So we can start to blend these animation layers together, which may be really helpful as you start to define how your animation and your character is going to look. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go in and I'm going to change in my materials here my solid stroke to just be, I don't know, how about a lovely shade of green. There we go. We can see that pretty easily. Let's pretend that I want to use the underlying structure here as the system in which I can go in and draw my animation. So I'm just going to use the smooth stroke here. Go in, and this is now very much what you see is what you get. I'm just doing this as fast as I can just to kind of plot out and illustrate a point. This is, of course, a horrible drawing, but hopefully you'll get the idea, okay? Now, at times, it's really difficult to see how this green line is interfacing and understand how we're visually understanding what's underneath. Let's put it that way. So being able to go in and change the opacity is really kind of helpful, because now I can start to fade out certain areas of my animation and get a much, much stronger idea of how this is going to work. In addition, the other thing that we can do, which is helpful in this process, is change the order in which all of these animation layers are showing up inside of our layers palette. So I have my character, but what if I take this one that's called feet? Over here on the left and right hand side, we have these arrows that will move these animation layers up and down, which will also change their visibility stack inside the system. Because now, check it out, I moved the feet layer up and that green layer is behind. This can be really helpful, because now instead of lowering the opacity of my green layer, I can lower the opacity of my feet layer and get a real good solid understanding of how I want my drawing to take place. So we got some really great ideas in here that will allow us to very, very quickly start to finalize some of our drawings without having to sacrifice any of the work that we've just done in the animation of our armature. I'm going to go in and spend some time cleaning up these lines, making a fun little drawing, making it a more complete animation versus this blocked out armature animation, which will be a whole lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And I hope that you're looking forward to finalizing your drawings as well.